Yo, this is New Jack, the original gangster, and right now you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. Believe it. If you don't, I'll stab your ass.
All right, we're back. Welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I'm the Internet icon, handsome Jackie Jones, the pride of the Pilgrims, along with my right-hand man.
1-inch biceps, the power goat. Ah, ah, there you go.
That was excellent. Joining us right here, Inch Man.
Uh-huh.
Formerly VCW. He's been on Raw. He's been everywhere. We are joined by Jason Knight. And I just want to add in, I still think he's a pretty sexy dude. We got Jason Knight here with us.
Hey, what's going on? I've been everywhere. Oh, my gosh. You know, that's kind of like, I mean, you know, it's like I should have a disease, but I haven't known, you know, traveling with me.
Oh, well, we hope not. We hope not. You might after tonight. I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. You know, I mean, if it's so airborne, maybe, but, you know, you would have to travel quite far. All right, guys. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Well, let everybody know if you guys want to call in and talk to Jason. It's 508-644-8503. And like I said, you're formerly VCW, but before that, you've been wrestling for a while. Do you find that most people aren't really familiar with your work before ECW?
Well, you know, depends. I've spoken to a lot of people from down south, and, you know, I started training to become a professional wrestler when I was in my teens back in 1977, you know. Mm-hmm. And back in 1980s, early 80s, I started, you know, actually wrestling and, you know, working or wrestling shows. You know, back in then, you know, actually back then, if you said working, you'd be penalized or penalized or whatever the hell, you know, depending on where you come from. But, you know, you'd be penalized, you know, or penalized because at that time, wrestling was not considered a work yet, and, well, whatever, you know. So back in the early 80s, when we started actually wrestling as far as professional, well, you know, it's that kind of thing, you know. Now, you know, ask me another question, please.
No, well, along those lines, though, when you said, you know, you couldn't use you wouldn't want to use the term around other people or in front of, I guess, wrestling fans or even the term at all. Later on, when like wrestling really got open, was that ever hard to deal with? That like fans would know some of the terms and then they would use them, or is that annoying now? I don't know.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say annoying. You know, it was just a kind of a thing where you have to adjust to it, and it almost seems like the fans advanced more than us boys were advancing, you know, at that point. And, you know, it was just a thing where it was, I don't know, you know, like I said before, you know, I think it was a lot better when you had certain things that were guiding you as far as professional wrestling and, you know, these things, you know, something separated work from, you know, the backyard type of a thing is, you know, what I'm trying to say. You know, nowadays it's just, yeah, it's just, you know, wrestling is wrestling, and then, you know, pretty much anybody walks in, you know, you have a pair of sneakers, pair of shoes, whatever, you know. You can do a low drop kick, high drop kick, clothesline, you know, stiff somebody, you're in the mouth, and, you know, you're like a professional wrestler. I don't know. You know, it's very disappointing, you know, nowadays.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you something. When we had Playboy Buddy Rose on the show, it was actually a really fun interview, and I talked to him a lot off the show, and he was really would only come on if, like, you respected the business and all this stuff. And he was telling us that a lot of the terms that people use today were never actually wrestling terms. Like they came out of, like, what he said, the dirt sheets, like Dave Meltzer, like stuff like move set, and there was some other things that he brought up. And then he said eventually other wrestlers would use those terms, and, like, that would always annoy him. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, the funny thing is that, before Dave Meltzer, or, early doing anyway, I remember I wrestled in Japan, and I did a tour. It was the Pitbulls and I, and it was Jason the Terrible, the original Ralphie. Remember Jason the Terrible, the original, the big kid?
Uh-huh.
He was trained by Johnny Rodz, in any case. And it was the Public Enemy and J.D. Smith and, Sandman and I, and, Dave Meltzer was like an internet then, because, he showed up and, the guy said, oh, you got to stiffen up, you got to really, show Dave what we can do, because, he's going to ride it. And, he was almost, it was like him. He was the mouse on a pad, go left to right, up and down, and he was the actual keyboard, and he was the actual computer, the computer tower and the whole thing. So, what I'm trying to say, is that, you always had these aspects in the business that someone's going to watch over you. But, right now, in the computer age, it's different, and, different terms, and, this and that, blah, blah, blah. This one's stiff, this one's light, and, it's always been that way. But, I think that it was a lot more respected back in the day when we didn't have the power of the internet, and I don't know, it's just...
Yeah. What was it like being trained by Johnny Rodz?
Well, it was the right way to train. Johnny Rodz is one guy that'll train you the right way. He started way back in the day when wrestling was wrestling, and, I definitely thank him for bringing that style all the way into the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and now, because I understand that still Johnny Rodz has his wrestling school, and, thank God, because with everything else that's going on these days as far as wrestling schools, oh my gosh, it's pretty much a shame. But, Rodz definitely brings it on, and, everything was done the right way, and Johnny's not one of those guys, he doesn't bully anyone or try to beat up anyone or, have anyone quit or take somebody's money, or, he's an honest man, and I like him very much. I respect him 100%.
You yourself are doing some seminars. Yeah. Well, what does that involve? What are you trying to teach you guys?
Well, pretty much what I learned. When I started wrestling, I started. Actually, a lot of people don't know I started before I went to Johnny Rodz. I went to Johnny Rodz only because I knew that at that time, during the early 80s or mid 80s or whatever, you could not get any work unless you were certified. State Athletic Commission was strong at the time, rightfully so, which I wish it would be right now, meaning that, medically you would have to be cleared, physically you would have to be cleared, psychologically, and of course, you'd have to be cleared by your trainer, and your trainer would have to be somebody who was cleared by the State Athletic Commission. Now, these days, anybody with a ring, with a backyard, with a garage, with whatever, can open up a wrestling school. So, getting back to what it was like to be trained by somebody, by Rodz, or what I bring to, that training camp style, like Johnny Rodz is pretty much, being trained and being someone who's capable of teaching people the right way, And once again, it goes back to, not bullying anyone, training people, not, just ripping people off and taking their money, that type of a thing, It's very, very important for a person to be trained the right way. Otherwise, you can run into anyone, with a ring or with a backyard or with a blah, 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 whatever I said, they just want to take your money and then, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now, I read actually on your Facebook that your first match was with Mike Rotunda. Yeah. Mike Rotunda.
1987 or 8 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was actually all, I met, remember Gary Michael Capetta?
Oh, yeah.
And, we'd spoken, and I met him during one of the Johnny Rodz shows over at Gleason's Arena in Brooklyn, New York, and that was way back in the 80s. And, we'd spoken, and I always wanted to be trained by Hiro Matsuda. And I flew myself to Florida. And it was somewhere in Florida Keys where I ended up, and that's, where I met up with Capetta, and he said, we're having a show, this and that. And I'm like, well, I have my gear. He's like, well, that goes without saying, you show us every gear. In any case, Mike Rotunda did not have an opponent that night because his opponent would have been Dave Sierra, the Cuban assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I have Gary Capetta and Kevin Sullivan coming up to me and saying, hey, look, you have a gear? Yes. Well, you want to wrestle tonight? I'm like, oh, my gosh, and it's like a whole tour, like a whole loop of Florida, and then TV. I'm like, oh, my God, you mean for you guys, for NWA, WCW? Yeah, and, Sullivan's like, well, kid, go run, get your gear. And, I actually ran and got my gear, and it was one of the greatest experiences that I had wrestling Mike Rotunda and, finishing the loop and then doing the TV for NWA, WCW, and, you got to realize this is like toward the later 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and later on, I did TV with him, but, your question was, what did it feel like working for them, or,
mm-hmm.
How did I, it was amazing, it was like somebody actually saying, well, you're alongside with, Anthony Hopkins, and you're going to do this movie, and you were like nobody. You're a good up and comer, but you're going to do, these guys
mm-hmm.
playing a major part, and you're going to be playing, his co-star. So it was incredible,
mm-hmm.
and it was one of those things, which I always thank Mike Rotunda. He never, I didn't even meet him that night. Right up until we were about to go through the curtain, and then I saw him. I asked him. I said, "Do you want to call anything?" He goes, "No, I'm Mike. Well, I'm Jason. Okay, great. And the funny thing was that his music played, and he went through the curtain first. It was a house show.
Mm-hmm.
And that house show had a lot of people. I mean, it was amazing. It felt like Madison Square Garden times 10. It felt like, but it was amazing. It was one of those big buildings. He went through there, and they played some generic music for me, and I walked through the ring, and they were like, well, some people are yay, some people nay, blah blah blah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I go in there, and the referee says, the finish is the airplane spin. Thank you. And, that's pretty much where I knew that this is what professional wrestling is all about. It's not what you sit down and discuss for an hour, 2 or 3, or 5 minutes, or whatever,
mm-hmm.
before the match. But, what you go out there, once you go out there and whatever you're capable of doing on a fly, you know, that makes you a professional wrestler, whether you're Hogan or, whomever, you know, that's exactly what pro wrestling is all about.
Mm-hmm. Here in the chat room, the Ultimate Beef, he wants to know, did you get a lot of rats with your gimmick in ECW?
I guess yes and no, because, you know, the gimmick, you know, first of all, was never my own.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Paul Heyman's, you know.
Is that who came up with it, Paul Heyman?
Yeah. It was like, oh, I'm going to, you know, oh my gosh, you know, you got to be, you know, because you keep in shape and you were this and that and good looking, blah, blah, blah. You know, I would have never, you know. And, you know, it was supposed to be something like a takeoff from Rick Martel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then, yeah, you know, I mean, it was like a 50-50 because you have to realize that ECW was like sort of like a blue-collar type company, you know. And did I get a lot of rats or whatever? Well, you know, yes and no. You know, some did, some didn't, you know, because some went towards some guys that, you know, couldn't get laid with a, you know, $100 bill in their, you know, in their hands. You know, they were wrestlers. Because, you know, like I said, it's a blue-collar type of thing, you know, and, you know, it amazed me. I mean, you know, I learned a lot over there. I was like, yeah, you know, actually, interesting question, you know. Guys that would not get laid, you know, with a $100 bill in their hand got laid, you know, because they were there, you know.
Uh-huh.
So, whatever, you know, it was ECW, you know, yeah, you know, interesting question. Me, did I, you know, not as many as I should have. LOL.
Yeah. Let's see. Mm-hmm. That was a good question, and he says that you're actually a fan of his Titty Tuesday on Facebook, by the way. Anyway.
I'm sure I am. You know, yeah, I love titties on Tuesday or any other day. Give me Tuesday any day, you know. I mean, titties are it.
He also spawned Thursday, so he's got all days covered.
You got it.
This is our fan base. Well, let's see. We got Jason on the. Well, we have Jason on the line right now, but we have another caller named Jason. Jason.
Hey, is it me?
Yes.
I just called in. I don't even know who's online. Who's on the phone?
No, you're not supposed to ask that.
Some guy.
We got Jason from ECW fame. Jason Knight.
Hey, how y'all doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Who's here? Cause I didn't get I just called in. I didn't
hang up, Jack.
Yeah. Thank you for calling in. Next time, check the website. It's really easy. You can just look there. It's like magic. And it'll say, it's a big banner on the top of the page. It says he's on the show. It's not a secret. But thanks anyway, Jason. You're a good man.
Sorry about the callers, Jason. they're kind of dumb sometimes.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's a fun thing. You know, I mean, you know, you can't blame people. You know why? Because if you ask me something right now, you know, about, you know, TNA or WWE, because I guess these are the only two companies that are, you know, available for us, you know, to watch. Nowadays, I would be the same way, ignorant as the son of a gun. What? You know? I'd be like that starfish in, you know, SpongeBob, you know? I mean, really. No, because, I mean, I can understand that. You know, back in the day, when we had professional wrestling available to us, you know, in New York, on Channel 9 once a week, and it was a half hour, let me tell you something. You know, we all just tuned in. We knew, you know, that Bob Backlund beat, you know, this guy, Spears Saria, and that guy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, nowadays, you know, it's like, I don't even know. And, it's just, you know, it's become so shameful in a way that I will never say, you know, that I'm ashamed that I got into the business, but, you know, it's shameful what they allow these days into the business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Let's, when did you start to, like, lose interest as a fan of wrestling?
Oh, gosh.
Or maybe fans of TV wrestling.
Oh, gosh. You know, probably, well, I think, the day that I was called to do the first ECW television, and that was in New Jersey. And then, the first thing was that guy that was dressed like a zombie.
Yeah.
And I remember, honestly, I remember, I was called for that, and I came in, and they said, well, don't worry about it, you just got to hang out, go to Sarge, get your, get your, guarantee, whatever it was, a couple $100, that were guaranteed. And I got him, and then, the guy walked out, and Hack walked out, with his imitation Sandman music and beat up that zombie guy. And I just, walked out, got in my car, and I left. And I remember Paul asked me, he said, what, you're not going to, stand, watch the end of the show? And I just looked at him like he had 3 heads,
Mm-hmm.
Because, to me, that was pretty much the day when wrestling died, and you have to realize that, before that, we already did those 2 pay-per-views, what was that, the
One Night Stand,
right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 and 2, and it was just ridiculous, and it was all very disorganized. We just came in, and we were there, we got paid, and it was almost like God Almighty. It was almost like getting paid to do a cheap porn, and yet you were not allowed to participate.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. It was like you come in and you do this and you do that. We don't know what we have for you, and then the second pay-per-view paid more than the first pay-per-view. And on the second pay-per-view, I didn't even have to do a run-in.
Yeah.
None of us had to do anything. It was all dealing with, John Cena and Rob Van Dam.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for, Rob Van Dam, because, the other guy would have just, shitted the whole place up. Would have been like a big diarrhea all over the place. I mean, between WWE and ECW, and to me it was like, oh my God, it's like here we are, and we're like these. It was like we're these porn actors where we're like involved in a situation where we can't have sex with a girl. We're just standing around and, jerking off, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, it was just, very cheap and bad, and, that's when I stopped being very serious, about professional wrestling, as it is today.
Mm-hmm. As a fan, I was a huge fan of ECW. I graduated in '94, so it was like, all the stuff that was going on was like, really hit home to me. I was really like emotionally attached to it, but I actually really enjoyed the One Night Stand pay-per-view as a fan. But I guess you have a different perspective being somebody that actually worked for ECW and then being there.
I think to me, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, being that those guys were involved in that first match, you got to realize that the first match, the middle, and the last match are the most important. I mean, how you open the show, it just sets the whole dynamic of, how the show is going to go. So, the first match was obviously between, 2 incredible wrestlers, and
mm-hmm.
it was Lance and Chris. And then, I had the responsibility of running out and breaking up, the tap out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before Chris made Lance tap out and blah, 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 whatever. And then PJ comes out, and then, he bumps PJ and all that. That was a whole different thing, But the second one was really, it was like, it was just an embarrassment because it was all I remember, Angle came out and he had that ECW, the mouthpiece and the whole thing, and then Big Show and all these guys, that never did anything, never belonged, and, not for the guys, God almighty, let the boys get all the work that they can, but, to me it was just, it was very cheaply done, the first one, in a way, was cheaply done. The second one was just, a complete, it was like a shit in a bucket, and then you take a piss in it. And then you leave it in there and it smells even worse. Because, how do you top, how do you put a guy like, and, the fans had the right idea. They built signs, they said, if Cena wins, we riot. And I believe they would have, these were a lot of fans that, they were intelligent, they're smart, and, they would have done exactly what it is. And that was like, the day when I met John Cena, I was like so disappointed,
Whoa, like him as a person? Or?
Just in his professionalism, I think he was pretty pissed off at the fact that it was there. And, I heard so much about, John Cena, oh, what a nice guy here and there. I think it's all work, I think, he just works people, that he's a nice guy. And, to me, I walked up to him, imagine out of all things, and the ECW guy walks up to him, some former, an ECW guy walks up to this guy, who comes, to our company, who's like half my age or 15 years younger, and he pretends not to know who I am, and he treats me like I'm just some kind of guy, whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then he starts that whole thugadelic thing, strong, well, yo, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my, all caps, like OMG, like, oh my gosh, you are, gosh, it's too bad you're an asshole, because it's like, you don't really have much talent, you dress like a backyarder, but, now, if you were a nice guy, I could forgive that, and, it's like, you're not that, tough. So, you can, deadlift 400 and, whatever pounds, That doesn't matter, when I take your balls out, replace them with your eyeballs, well, that hurts. Oh, whatever the fuck, I'm just, look, I'm saying, these people that, a lot of these, young, supposed tough whippersnappers, guys that, I'm stiff and this and that. I work, I kick and all that, and I'll bleed. Fuck all you motherfuckers. The respect for the business needs to come back, and we need more and more, Dick Slater's back. Otherwise, the business is really gonna, it's gonna fall into a shithole.
Yeah. And I'm from Massachusetts my whole life, and West Roxbury, where Cena's from, is not exactly like a gangster type place. It's really suburban.
Man, listen, I'll tell you something about a guy like Johnny Cena. That was the only time I met him, and I was very disappointed because to be quite frank, he was an asshole to me. I met his dad working for a guy.
I was an asshole to Johnny Fabulous.
Yeah, what is the name of that company? The Powerhouse or whatever. Okay.
He works all over the Northeast here. So.
Right, so the thing is that, professional wrestling is something, you portray something strongly to people that people want to embrace. Whether you're a good guy, bad guy, tough guy, whatever, some of the toughest guys were and are, the nicest people, like Joel Duke was, Terry Funk is, Dusty Rhodes, Manny Fernandez, Don Morocco, these guys, you know. And then you have, you know, the guys that really are not, you know. But it is all what you portray. But when you try to portray that, you know, with the boys, and, you know, it would be like me meeting Buck Zumhoff, you know, and trying to sell to him, you know, that I am some guy, you know, from blah, 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 wherever, you know.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that, you know, has been there and done that, you know. I mean, it pisses me off in that way because, you know, you have these kids nowadays, they go in the ring, they kick each other hard in the chest, in the back, in the shoulder, and you can hear the, you know, can you hear this? Can you hear that?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, you know, slapping my thigh, you know. And, oh, boom, 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 boom. And then, you know, this is an Enzigura, this is, you know, this one, that one, you know, shoot style, you know, MMA, blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, you want MMA, go over there, you know, outside the stage, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you know, that type of a deal. And, you know, these guys are, you know, it's like, people need to realize that there's a difference between professional wrestling, the art, and professional wrestling, the bullshit that you see, you know, on these indies and backyards and, you know, people stiffing each other. You know, back in the day, that wouldn't work because you had territories, and territories meant steady work. If you were, like, you know, one of those guys, you know, that ruined, you know, somebody's steady work, you know, whether you were a top guy or jobber, you know, you would have been jobbed out, right out of your job, pretty much, because, you know, the boys used to respect, you know, the code of professional wrestling. You know, we're all, you know, mostly 90% tough guys, and then, you know, 10% or whatever, you know, there, but, you know, the guys that, you know, night after night after night after night after night, you know, 300 or something days a year, we need to work. So, you know, I'm rambling on, so please ask me.
No, that's cool. Let's see. We got a couple more people online. Hopefully they got a question. We got Mike on the line.
Yeah. Mike, is this me?
Yes. That's
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Jason, this is Mike from Dover.
Hey, Mike. Oh, is that my Orthodox friend?
Yeah, Jason. I hadn't heard from you in forever, man. And I saw it was on the internet. It said In Your Head Wrestling, so I said, let me call into Jason. I need to get up with you more. But
well,
I remembered,
you know, my Orthodox brother.
Yeah, I met him back in ECW.
You know, yeah.
We're Greek Orthodox. Yep.
You've called into the show before because I have the number saved, Mike.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I used to come up with a couple guys, and Jason gave some guys a chance, and he took us under his wing, and we had great times up in Connecticut shows. I mean, I appreciate.
How's our Colombian friend? What's his name?
Hector.
Hector.
Hector. Yeah, Hector's still good. We still hit some shows here and there. We watch. You know, yeah. He's still in Dover, and
I'm happy to hear that. You know, I'm really happy to hear, you know, that you guys are okay because you're, you know, good people. Very, very nice. You know, good friends. You know, I love you guys.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, Jason would run these shows up in Waterbury, Middletown, Connecticut. We'd go up there, and you know, a couple of the guys from down here would wrestle sometimes. And I mean, his dressing room was he like he's talking. He had respectful people. I mean, I wasn't a wrestler, but these guys would all shake my hand, Talia, and I felt like I was part of the team. I would help run raffles, but I really enjoyed coming up to Jason's shows. And I mean, I've never heard anybody say anything negative about the shows or Jason. He's a great guy. I mean, like I said, I wasn't a wrestler, and he treated me just like a wrestler, you know. And I had some friends. We'd go up there. We had good times up there. Remember those times, Jason?
Yeah, we did. You know.
Yeah.
Well, we actually met, like, I think in ECW or something. Well, you know, we kind of, you know, we went around the loop.
Yeah, we were talking about soccer. You had done some kind of angle in the ring, and you mentioned something about U.S. soccer, and nobody popped toward either way. And I said, this guy likes soccer.
When they started, you know, with soccer, and I said, well, you know, soccer is better than blah blah blah. You know, me being, you know, Eurotrash, so I know.
Right. So I said, this guy like
works, huh?
Now we can go on a few union games up in Philly, but I hadn't heard from you forever. But you know, like I said, the shows he used to run some great shows up in Connecticut. Tally, a lot of talented people up there. Tally Madison, she came from there, right? And he had guys that he took under his wing and turned them into professional wrestlers, and they were good. They were really good performers up there. You know, I had a great time up there.
Well, you know how to get in touch with me, right?
No, I don't know how to get in touch with you.
Well, you know, just go on ECW Jason 9300 AOL.com.
Okay, and I'll email you my number and whatnot, and definitely give me a call.
And here, yeah.
You're in New York City now, right?
Yes.
Okay, somebody had told me that.
Well, yeah, between Pennsylvania and New York City, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
I could tell everybody your number right now, Mike, if you want.
Man, I'll email Jason. But like you said, you know, I'll let you go. But hey, Jason, you know, I appreciate. Like I said, you got a good guy on there, and he really ran a good dressing room, and nobody had anything bad to say about the way Jason was up there. He ran great shows, and I appreciate him as a friend. And I hadn't talked to him forever, so I do want to get back in touch with him.
And please tell Hector I said hi.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell Hector. Yeah, definitely, yeah. We're all buddies. Okay. Hey, all right, I'll let you get the next caller, Jason. Take care. Okay, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. We got Crystal on the line. Jujubee.
Yes. I was just wondering, how was it working with Chris Chetti?
Oh, gosh, you know, one of the most talented people that I mean, wow. You know, I wish, I'll tell you what, you know, I wish that there were territories back then, and Chris and I would have done territories, because we could have worked, you know, 10 years in Oregon, you know, from Oregon all the way to, you know, to our eastern coast, and made a lot of money and put a lot of ass in his seats, because that's how good, you know, Chris Chetti is. You know, he's just amazing, you know, and I appreciated always working with him.
Jujubee is a huge Chris Chetti fan. She made herself a Chris Chetti #1 fan T-shirt.
Yeah, you know, he was, you know, just amazing, really unbelievable. You know, I had kind of a claim to fame, you know, for working with young people in ECW, and Chris Chetti is definitely one of them. I mean, just amazing. If anybody could have been put, you know, as to say, in my lap, you know, to nurture and all that, you know, that was Chris Chetti. You know, Chris was just amazing talent. You know, incredible athlete. You know. And, you know, great-looking guy, and the whole thing, everything that, you know, I'm sad, you know, that he didn't, you know, stick with it in the business, because I think that more than many people, he deserved to be, you know, a lot higher than, you know, where he pretty much ended up, you know, a lot higher. And, you know, I don't like to name names, or, you know, a lot of the guys that came in and, you know, kissed ass and blah, 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 office, this and that. You know, Chris was one of the guys that really could have, I mean, he had it all. Incredible work, incredible talent, incredible strength, power, and a tough guy. You know, I mean, if you were to fuck with Chris, you know, you were to tough with, you know, you were to fuck with the devil, you know, because he was that, you know, type of guy who will kick your fucking ass all over the place. Yet, you know, the nicest person and all that, you know, but, you know, just pisses me off that there were like so many other people that came in and didn't have half the talent, made the money, got to this company, that company, blah, 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 and Chris didn't, you know, just pisses me off. Well, that's what I think of Chris Chetti. How's that?
You happy with that answer, Juju?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
You know, Lon, you said it's too bad you didn't stick with it. You know, after 2001 or so, when WCW and ECW is gone, you think it was hard for a lot of guys to keep motivated with only really one place that you can make, like, you know, big money? or a living?
Well, I think that WCW ruined the business because it became like, you have, now, please understand that I know nothing about baseball, the NFL, or I'm sorry, the baseball league or whatever,
MLB.
The NFL.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm a soccer guy, I'm like Eurotrash, but, you have to realize that it became like you have all these companies and all rolled up into one. And then, you have ECW is like on its way out, which, it was. And I think it was done on purpose, which, whatever, And then you have, the World Wrestling Federation at the time and, WCW. And I think the WCW and World Wrestling Federation at the time, they were like in cahoots. And that Ted Turner was just, not, he was a smart businessman as far as everything else, but not as far as professional wrestling business. And all of a sudden, here you have one guy ruining professional wrestling, but it's going to take him like 3 years, I don't believe that it was all, did you ask me about, the difference between WCW and World Wrestling Federation?
Not really, but you can go into that if you want.
Right, but yeah. You know what I mean? Because, I'm kind of going that way because I think it was all like this game, Let's see how long it's going to take us, to take this ice cube and melt it,
Uh-huh.
And then, we're going to change temperature in a room, and, when it starts going down, we're going to change the temperature, and then, it's like, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Well, really, I was asking after, when there was really only WWE, after ECW went away and WCW went away, is it harder for most wrestlers to stay, like, motivated, like, I'm going to stick with this, since there's a lot less places that you can actually make, like, a good living?
Yeah, more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely. I mean, you have to realize that a lot of the guys in professional wrestling, they do have other jobs.
Yeah.
And, other professions or whatever.
I would think, though, if you get in, your ultimate goal is like, I really want to make it to, one of the big companies that are on TV or whatever. And if there's only one, I would think that there would, be less motivation.
Yeah. Well,
unless you do have a regular job and you're doing this really just for the fun of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, personally, I was always a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a certified trainer, so I get work that way. And back in the 80s and 90s early, I was in the military, so, that was like my job. So I always have a job, but, I can see where a lot of the guys, we all want to do what we want to do, but it's just not,
Yeah.
It's not in stars. You can't be a rocket scientist, if you're not
right.
yourself good. So it's,
yeah. You said, Paul Heyman came up with the sexiest man on earth gimmick and stuff. What, how did you get along with Paul Heyman? Were you friends with him before ECW? How did you get involved?
Yeah. I mean, I knew Paul, when, he, Paul's, about 1 or 2 years younger than I am,
Mm-hmm.
And, he did a little photography here and then. It was always a very pushy young man and all that, whatever,
Uh-huh.
And, then we kind of reconnected in WCW. because, you know, I see the jobs over there. It was it was a great time, great work, good money. I lived in a hotel in College Park, Georgia, you know, lots of girls, oh gosh, you know. And, you know, afterwards, I met Paul, you know, I met Paul again, and he told me that he wanted me to join this company, this Eastern Championship Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. But at that time, you know, I was so, you know, spent as far as, you know, athleticism and all that. I had a back surgery, then another back surgery. Said, well, you know, just do this one match, and then you could be a manager. And that's how we, you know, got that. You know, that's why I became a manager, not because I wanted to be a manager or anything like that, but, you know, because I had 2 back surgeries, and, you know, he was trying to bring me back in, and then, you know, get me back into, you know, wrestling and all that. So, that's pretty much it, you know.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I would say Joey Styles always really played up whenever you'd be on TV, like when he's on commentary, like how he'd be so annoyed by you, and I always thought that really helped your character. What was it? You and Joey Styles friends in real life though? Or?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, he's a wonderful guy. You know, Joey. I mean, gosh, you know, he's such a, you know, nice guy. You know, one of the first guys I met over there, and you know, we talked, and he's like, oh my gosh, you know, your character really. You know, I'm like, well, go with it, please. You know, because, you know, like I said, you know, I mean, which a lot of people don't know about me. I mean, you know, I've been, you know, in the military or in Europe, and, you know, I've been in a couple of wars, and, you know, I was in, like, special forces and what have you, you know, so, you know, the character that I played in ECW after my back surgery is not the guy. You know, to me it was like, you know, can you lose to this one, lose to that one, you know, and I said, I don't care, you know, it's wrestling, you know. I don't care what, you know, as long as I know. I mean, once you start disrespecting me, you know, that's where we go to war, you know. But, you know, the thing with Joey, as I go back, was like, oh, I'm going to itch, you know. I said, yeah, you know, we did that, you know. Joey was, he was one of the best. You know, there's, you know, like Gordon Soley, and then there's Joey, you know.
He's always one of my favorites. I think it's too bad.
There's Eddie Graham, you know, and then there's Eddie Graham. I would like to say there's Eddie Graham, and then there's Vince McMahon, but, you know, there's just Eddie Graham, you know, but, you know, there's Gordon Soley, then there's Joey. And, you know, I mean, we, you know, I think we did, and, you know, actually we were supposed to do a thing that we were supposed to, like, fight, blah, 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 and this and that, you know, too bad, you know, we didn't, you know, because, you know, Paul, like I said, you know, I love Paul for giving me the opportunity, but I, you know, also hate Paul for giving me the opportunity, and then kind of like he blocked me from, you know, being what I wanted to be. He promised me that it was going to be this and that, and blah, blah, blah. But we have all night. We'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, if you want to. Well, what kind of things did he, like, say that you were going to do with the character, and where was he going to go?
Well, you know, when I first came in, you know, well, first of all, you know, I just want to make one thing clear, that I'm a little bit upset. You know, there's the rise and fall of ECW, right? And I think there's that, you know, young man Gabe that says it was the public enemy versus the bad breed, which it was not. It was the public enemy in the first match versus Ian and I. You know, and Ian did all the work. And that was, you know, that I just came off from my back surgery, and, you know, I couldn't do anything. I mean, I couldn't bump on my back or it. And Ian actually said, I don't care about it, you know, I'll do everything, you know. So the Public Enemy, you know, Johnny and Teddy, you know, my both great friends, you know, that died, you know, they were out there doing the whole thing pretty much with me. And I would come in and take an occasional bump, and I would bleed, blah, 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 whatever, you know. So it upset me that the rise and fall of ECW was not correct as far as, you know, you know, that I think it was that
they did
Joe.
The pay-per-view, or that was not the tape or whatever, yeah.
Not the November to Remember, but it was well, whatever. You know, it was, you know, one of those shows, and you know that kind of upset me. So that's how I came into the ECW, and you know, I started wrestling here and there, you know. And Paul was like, well, you know, I don't want to lose you as a character, so I'd like to give you that, you know, moniker or that, you know, sexiest man on the earth and blah, 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 you know. And I said, okay, I like it. But, you know, I don't want that to last, you know, forever. Because, you know, I'm not going to be a young man forever. And then, you know, it kept going on and on and on. And I think that I became a troubleshooter for ECW wrestling, you know. Anytime something had to be done, you know, there's Jason, there's, you know, and I didn't mind it, you know. And then, you know, PJ came along, and, you know, PJ, you know, we all know, you know.
That's incredible. Yeah.
You know, yeah. He's a tremendous wrestler, but, you know, he doesn't like to take too many, you know, hard things, hard shots, blah, 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 this and that, you know, and, you know, you can get on his second, you know, that, oh, don't worry about it, you know, you don't have to go through a table, Jason will. You don't have to bleed, Jason will. You don't have to, you know, catch Mike Awesome, Jason will. You don't have to take Sabu's, whatever, Jason will, you know. And I know that because, you know, he and, you know, Paul got together before that, and, you know, they all discussed all that, you know, so I'm not stupid about that, you know. In fact, PJ is like probably the only guy that never took Paul Smalley chair shot, right? I did for PJ, you know. So it was all, you know, type of thing. It was like I became a third wheel, you know. And he's like, you know, he kept me there, and I was like in better shape than any of the other guys over there, you know, or most of them anyway. But it just, you know, became like a real, you know, challenge, you know, to stay up top, you know, to stay floating, you know, to, you know, breathe above the air. And you have all these ocean waves coming at you, you know, and I don't know, you know.
You were in and out of ECW a lot. Was that part of the reason? Well, like you would have any problems out with them?
Yeah, there was one time, you know, I left because I was pissed off, you know, and then, you know, every time I left, you know, there was an opportunity. That's when I went to Japan. Because when I left, the first time, there was Ibaragi. He said, you come to Japan. Okay, I will, you know. And then second time, third time, well, you know, the third time was just about it. You know, the third time really pissed me off because I think they had enough of me, and, you know, my daughter Crystal was, you know, third time, you know, the last time, she was diagnosed with, you know, cancer and all that. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And, you know, I had to stay in the New York area because if anything happened, you know, that they needed in any way, I had to be there because at any moment, I might have had to, go on surgery just like her, And I'll never forget because, they fired me for that. They said, oh, yeah, he's pretending that his daughter is sick and blah, 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 And, well, my daughter has the same condition again, but, we're working with it. So it was a shitty thing to do. They fired me, for something that I kind of needed to do.
Yeah.
Because I really needed to be there, whatever.
We got something better here in the chat room here, something more upbeat. Chi-Town wants to know, were you around when they brought Sid into ECW? What was he like? And was there any plans to put the title on Sid?
I don't know about that, you got to realize, here's another thing. Remember when I said, PJ was there, but, I would take whatever bump. Well, Sid, I wrestled Sid back in late 80s, early 90, maybe, but, late 80s in WCW, and did that, like, airplane thing that he did, And, I don't think so. I think, they just kept him around, to do his thing, because, he looked great, coming out in his jeans and all that. Sid looked great always.
Oh, yeah.
And, and then, for me, over in New York, what is that? We did a pay-per-view, and I took a bump for Sid, bar bomb, and that was it. There was nothing more, And I know John Cronus took a bump for Sid, like a bar bomb through a table over the top rope. And, I think there was just nothing, I don't think there was anything planned for Sid.
We've had him on the show like 4 times. He's always really good to us. He just call in the show once in a while. But he said really that he had a lot of fun in ECW, and that financially, like, he could have made the same money there, that he would have liked to stay there for a while.
Probably, yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, because it's pretty easy. Because, with Sid, and one of my favorite guys to work with, that's, I worked with him in WCW, I did a job for him. And it was all, other than, a few slaps in our face. That, I don't know if that was on purpose or whatever, but, I don't care. It doesn't matter, I mean, he was good, and then, he did that helicopter thing and whatever, But I think that, he was one of the most marketable people, in professional wrestling. I mean, my God, great looking guy, very tall, very built. And, I mean, what else can I tell you? You got to know your place. You have to know your place in the business.
I'm always surprised he gets the most female callers we ever have on the show when we have Sid on.
Well, yeah, whatever. I'm not surprised.
All right.
I mean, the guy.
I was always a fan of his. I mean, he looked like this big monster, and he liked. Not only just physically looked, I mean, he had like these crazy facial expressions, and I like the big power moves. And,
do you want to know something funny? Years ago, it was like oh my gosh, I'm going to say something like early to mid 80s, right? Mm-hmm. And I worked with Bobby Jaggers back in the day, and I was already in the business for like a few years, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, there's a kid in Florida, First of all, we talked about Barry Windham, obviously, for the line, right? Okay. Then he said, there's Dusty's son. I'm like, Dusty's son? He's like, oh, my God, he's better than Dusty. I'm like, better than Dusty? Who can be better than Dusty, oh, I think he called him Dustin, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then he said, there's this kid that looks better than any other bodybuilder. He was talking about Sid. Because Sid is not much older than I am. I think we're about the same age, maybe a little bit of,
yeah.
Might have a year or two older,
I think he's in his early 50s.
Yeah, well, right about there.
Yeah.
And, he was saying, oh my gosh, this guy, if he makes it, he is, and Bobby Jaggers, which, it was one of my favorite wrestlers. He's one of the first guys that I wrestled, Bobby Jaggers. He's like, this guy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he is, he looks like a specimen and this and that. And I'm like, he described to me like, King Kong ripped,
Uh-huh.
and good looking, So, well, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And should you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question from Facebook, actually. JG wants to know, what was your most memorable match you've ever had in your career?
Oh, my God, I think any match that I had for the big companies, especially, I think pay-per-views were like, all of them, because somebody trusted me to go out there, without any gear, without any, no commercials, nothing. But I think, the first time, when I wrestled Ric Flair in 88 or 89, I think. It was like 88 or 89 on TV.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the most unbelievable experiences that I had, because, I went up to him and said, we're wrestling. He said, yeah, I'll see you out there. And I'm looking at him like, is there anything you want to? He said, no, don't worry about it, we're going to have a lot of fun out there. Now, mind you, I already had, a few years in the business, right? Like 7 or 8 years wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at this guy's like, okay, so you're not gonna, are you, and this is after I wrestled Mike Rotunda, right? And Mike Rotunda told me, don't worry about it, we're not gonna call it, I'll call the finish in the ring, and blah, blah. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, do these guys not like me? And it was not like that at all, I just had an incredible experience with incredible people in the business, that could just look at me and say, oh, don't worry about it, yeah, and Flair's like, oh, my gosh, yeah, I got these trunks, oh, I'm sorry, they smell a little bit because, I haven't gone home to Charlotte and done laundry. He's telling me about this, laundry thing in Charlotte, right, oh, so they smell a bit, I'm sorry, but, and I'm looking at him like, I'm sorry, but what's the finish? And, thinking in my head, and probably, anytime I, wrestled the WCW guys was an incredible experience, and, Kevin Sullivan, that gave me the opportunity. I mean, I love that man. He's a guy, that guy's awesome. And then I went to the World Wrestling Federation, and it was like a whole different thing, still as great. And then I wrestled Ric Flair. Then it was a whole different, experience. Because we had a horrible match on TV. I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But probably WCW. I think at that time when Kevin Sullivan, it was Kevin Sullivan booking and Dusty and those guys. That's when I had my best matches. As a jobber. As a jobber, you were treated like a gentleman. And then you went. You crossed over to WWF, and you were really treated like a like a fucking lowlife.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Weeble here in the chat wants to know, how long did you wear the Jason Voorhees mask for?
Me?
Yeah. Never wore it?
Never. Never. Probably, that was that guy Jason from Australia, my friend.
Uh-huh.
And then, there were, other guys in Canada and whatever, I wanted to, I love the name.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see a lot of Jason Voorhees stuff on your Facebook.
No,
No, not you wearing it, but you shared some photos of comic Jason Voorhees stuff. Jason vs.
Oh, I'm sure, of course. Well, how do you think I got the name? But you think my name's Jason?
Mm-hmm.
It's not my real name anyway.
You said you thought part of your thing in ECW was working with the young guys. Was there anybody in particular you thought you really helped?
Well, I think all the young people that.
I know you had a long feud with Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah, Mike and I mean, that was a pleasure. My gosh, that was like a walk in the park. Such talent. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh gosh, if anybody could ever be given an opportunity to do something like that, it's him, Mikey, and of course Jazz, and I had a little bit of run with Meanie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying these people, didn't have experience before that. I'm just saying at that time, I'm not trying to take credit for their, talent, not at all, But, Mikey and Meanie and Chris Chetti, forget it. Jazz and, just people that I wanted to and would have liked to, when C.W. Anderson came in, I would have loved to have had a program with him.
Yeah. I think he was one of the guys, if ECW would have kept going, would have been one of the new big stars.
Oh, yeah. I would have loved to, my thing is that I have no complex as far as, working with young people, mm-hmm. because I keep myself. I know who I am. I'm Jason fucking Knight,
uh-huh.
and I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Most of these kids, I can run circles around them, and it's true. And guys like. That are 300 pounds, I could probably deadlift 3 times what they weigh, but the thing is that doesn't matter. I portray a character that, it's either, when I was like the guy that runs away from a girl or from a guy from the Sandman, whatever,
mm-hmm.
And I love Sandman, but, gosh, dude, I love you, but whatever, Well, these guys that I would run from, I wouldn't run from him, in a closed, in a closet, never mind, on the street. So, but whatever, and I was supposed to do what I was supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
And
you go on.
Yeah. And I was always willing to do that, and I will, but, it's just, in business, you have to know where your place is. My place was, it's like, if I'm William Shatner, and I was the house, fuck, whatever, and that type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
You can be a great performer, great actor, great whatever, if your business is, to be under a certain guy. That's what you do, and that's what it is,
Want to ask you earlier when you talked about a lot of people today where they want to really hit each other and stuff like that. When you were in ECW, I mean, there was a lot of awesome wrestlers, but then there was also, you know, the hardcore stuff with stiff chair shots. And what was your idea? What were your thoughts on that kind of wrestling?
You know, thankfully, you know, the stars aligned at that time. You know, there was guys like Tommy Cairo and Dreamer and all these guys. You know, we're talking before Raven, you know.
The Iron Man, Tommy Cairo, I remember him. Yep.
You know, Cairo and, you know, all these guys, you know, they've done it before that, you know. And, you know, let's not forget guys like, you know, Donnie Allen and Hot Body and Stetson and you know, another tough guy. You know, J.T. Smith and all those guys.
Old Blue Eyes. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? You know, it's been there, done that. You know, but you know when Paul came in, you know, it was like kind of more mainstream, and then they did that thing, you know, with Tommy and Raven in the cage, and boom, and then you know they brought you know Mahoney to do the chair shots, and you know there were guys. You got to realize that there were guys that would take chair shots. And there were guys that wouldn't. You know, Mikey Whipwreck will tell you, you know, that he had in his contract that he would not take John's chair shots. PJ would not take John's chair shot. I know that because, you know,
was that ever a problem if someone said, you know, I don't want to take that? Or would it depend, like, who they were?
I guess. I don't know. I know that PJ wouldn't take, you know, John's chair shot. I mean, you know, he can swear to you up and down right now and, you know, whatever, but I know because I came to the building late and John's like, well, I'm moving PJ, you're taking the chair shot. I said, okay, you know. So I knew what to do, you know, to cover up and, you know, not take it to my head. And, you know, because PJ, he's just, you know, he's PJ. You know, I don't blame him. Who the fuck would want to?
Right.
You know, take that. You know.
Is there a safe way to take a Balls Mahoney chair shot?
God.
Or I guess a safer way than.
Well, for me, you know, it's, you know, for me, it's put the elbows up and, you know, whatever. But if you take it, you know, I mean, you know, there's a 50-50 that you might, you know, I mean, he's very big and he's very strong. You know, if he hits you, you know, he might hurt you. You know, I mean, you know, John is young. You know, he's a very, very big, strong kid. So if he hits you with a chair, you know, that, you know, 10, 12 pounds of, you know, weight hitting you, you know, landing on your head, I don't know, you tell me, is there a safe way?
I don't know, that's what I was asking you.
You know, so, you know, for me it is, because, you know, I mean, I'm not going to, you know, if I know something's coming, you know, I don't take shit from anybody, you know, I don't care who you are, you know. If you'll find me, you know, then, you know, we go to war, you know. But, you know, it was never this thing, you know, with John and I, so, fuck it, doesn't matter. But, you know, I don't use the N-word.
But did you have, do you think that kind of thing in wrestling was good or bad for wrestling?
That, you know, very bad, horrible. Horrible for wrestling, yeah. Because, you know, the whole imagination of, you know, professional wrestling, come on, you know, I mean, it's supposed to be an illusion. We're artists. We're not just, you know, some big, you know, fat, muscular guys walking around, you know, hitting each other, you know. I mean, it's easier to hit somebody over the head with a chair, but, you know, make it look, you know, real, and then, you know, go to work with that guy 300 days out of a year, and those 65 days out of a year, you know, you can, you know, call each other on the phone, and, you know, oh, it's uncool, this one and that one, you know, that, you know, that type of thing, you know. No, I think it's very bad. I think what's happening to wrestling right now is horrible, because, you know, I'm saying if you want to be a tough guy, you want to kick somebody hard, that's what it, go to the MMA. And see, how you last over there.
Do you think Balls really would have had to do that? Because I always thought he was actually an underrated wrestler. I thought, when he was in his prime, I thought he moved around really well. He's a big guy, could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, John, my God, John can get on top of the rope and do all that. I mean, he's one of the most talented guys, but John is John. I'm not gonna, sit here and.
I always really liked the guy.
I like him too. I love John, Balls Mahoney, but I just cannot hang out with him because, to be honest with you, I don't like what he does, and I think that I've always been closer to Jack. New Jack.
Yeah. I know they got their big shoot at the moment.
Yeah, well, at least he's a true guy. He says, well, look, don't call me that, and then we're going to be okay. Well, fuck you, I'm going to call you that, about any word, this and that, well, whatever, Then you get, so I think that the biggest waste in professional wrestling is John, John Refner, Balls Mahoney, and whatever, and do I like him anymore? No. I'm very, fuck him. But, too bad.
Yeah.
But then, at the same time, I mean, he got what he deserved, and, you don't do something that you are asked not to do. If I ask you not to, call me a certain name, you don't. Otherwise, you suffer a consequence. So, fuck it. I mean, I don't know what to do,
Well, what are you alluding to there? Well, what did he do that people asked not to do?
Well, he called New Jack a nigger. I mean,
okay.
I knew Jack asked him, please don't call me that name.
Yeah.
I don't like that name, so what the fuck? I mean, come on. And he said, well, I'm with you, and blah, 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 and then, you gotta beat down, and, I would have done the same thing. If I asked you, don't call me a certain thing.
Yeah.
I would have done, the same thing, but, whatever, I mean, and then, he just, he got his ass beat, didn't do anything about it, so, the respect is gone, but I don't care. I don't, you know what, honestly, I don't give a fuck, it's just that, Jack he asked him one thing, don't do that, if you did it, you gotta be down and fuck him. What the fuck, right or wrong.
On New Jack, you said we get along with New Jack, really well. He's been on the show a bunch of times. Even just called into the show, I think last month we had George South on. He just called in and talked to George South. It was really cool.
George South, oh gosh. George South.
You got any George South stories?
No, I don't like him because...
Really? No, he's good to us. Yeah.
Rude's, one of the best workers that ever, raised professional wrestling, I mean, just a great worker,
Yeah. He's still good today.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, a guy like that, just a rude son of a bitch, he was so rude to me, and, it's not, and George South and I, it's not like we have a lot of years, between us. We're probably about the same age, or he might be a little bit older, I don't know, whatever. But he was just he was an asshole to me. And whatever,
Well, that's what we always say. You got to go by how people treat you, because I know a lot of people don't like New Jack, but he's good to us. Some people don't like George South, but he's good to us. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, George South. I don't like him too much. It's just, I showed up and I don't know. I guess I was a Yankee,
Okay.
A Yankee and all that, and nice looking kid. I could, work my ass off and do all that, cross body box and get caught and, put on a knee and all that, that type of thing. And I think, that's what George South didn't like. and he was already like bowling, and he already looked at 10 years older than me, than he was. But what a worker, what a wrestler. George South, man, let me tell you something. If there were more like him, that would be a good thing for wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that guy can wrestle his ass off. As a person, fucking, I don't like him. As a wrestler, I wish there were more like him. And, one thing I want to say, Bob Cook, one of the nicest guys ever. Yeah. And what a fucking worker. I mean, that guy was like, I was and jealous of him for the way that he can fucking work. I want to beat him up because he works so good. And the nice guy that he is, I just want to, gosh, I want to turn to like Andre the Giant and beat him. Out of jealousy. Because of what a fucking worker he is. I mean, how dare you be that fucking worker? That's good. I hate people like that. It's like, my friend Joey Max. How dare you be, that good looking and be that good of a fucking worker, There's I don't know. Remember Joey Max?
Oh yeah, Jumpin' Joey Max. Yep.
Yeah. He was a, beautiful human being, and excellent look and work and all that. I just want to beat you because you were that good. And I mean that as fun. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Bob Cook, son of a bitch, how dare you be that good?
I always like Bob Cook myself.
Yeah, I mean that fucking guy. How can you be that good? It's like he's mocking you. I'm that good, that good.
There's one of my favorite, I don't know what you call them, underneath guys over, but when I was a kid, I used to get the shows from Boston Garden on Nesson here, was the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. I don't know if you ever saw him. I love that guy.
That guy, he could sell. He could be obnoxious, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He did commentary on a couple of the Boston Garden shows, and I talk all the time because I thought it was great. He had this one line I always remember. He'd be the color man, and they'd show a replay, whatever, and the face guy, he'd say something, and then about like the heel cheating, and he would say, "It's an optical illusion." And I just thought it was like the greatest way to just totally no sell whatever the heel was doing. I found out he actually lives near me, so I'm going to try to get him maybe a video interview with him, but that was always one of my favorites. Let's see here. We got some people on the line. We got Chi-Town Matt.
What's going on, fellas? Jason, big original ECW fan. We used to go to all the shows in Chicago and Milwaukee, and I remember we always used to just, we were in awe of how physical and how violent it was, and you kind of touched on it earlier, but I guess I just wanted to know, and you may have talked about this, and if you did, I apologize. What's the worst injury you've seen at a live event, and how much medical personnel did ECW have backstage? Because, I was at shows where, New Jack would jump off balconies, Francine got piled driven through tables, and it was sitting in the front row, and it was violent looking, and so I guess if you could just talk about some of the worst injuries you've seen, and appreciate, what you've done for the business, and I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer.
Yeah, well, that's, it's an interesting question because, sometimes when you purposely put yourself in a situation, and think that the worst might happen, and it doesn't, so, it's surprising, that not as much bad stuff did happen, but yeah, I do remember, for instance, one thing, somewhere there was like some kind of bullshit show, and Denise Rifle, what's her name, Chetti, took snowplow from Al Snow, and her, necklace hurt. Okay, I remember, New Jack, that was one of the worst things, over in, New York. him and Vic Rhymes, we all thought he died, you know. I remember, you know...
Is that when they fell off the scaffold?
Yeah, exactly, yeah, you know. I mean, that was... I remember, you know...
I remember watching that pay-per-view. I didn't even know what they were going to do, and then they just kind of both fell off.
And you know, I'll tell you one thing, you know, because New Jack and I, you know, we're going to, go into, you know, I mean, he's one of the, best friends in the world. You know, we're always, we're like two peas in a pot, you know, and we always look like we're so much different, but no, we're not. We're very much alike. And it was like my match was next. With PJ Credible Wrestling, the late, great Mike Awesome and someone else. Whatever, you know. But, Mike Awesome, God almighty, we miss him. And, I'm just saying that there were so many of these, so like, Denise Rifle, she got, spiked, and then... New Jack, obviously a horrible injury. J.T. Smith, we thought that Mike Awesome killed him in the arena, with a dive and, stuff like that. There were so many of them, there were a lot of injuries that I think that a lot of us suffer still to this day, but, at that time, somehow you just, walk through it, you kind of like dance through it, and, I don't know, there were, and also, with Francine, being as frail looking as she is, she's a tough girl, obviously. It's just, a lot of these things, that happen, it happens, and, I had my neck broken in ECW, and, but that was never like, publicized.
What match was that in?
It was Justin Credible versus what's his name? Well, one of my favorites.
Mikey.
No. Chris Chetti.
Oh, okay.
And I told Chris, I said, I'm going to pick you up for. Because I used to love to do a thing, where, I pick you up for a power bomb, and you just kind of like sit out, stand up, and then, give me a power bomb, And, that's what we did, and, it wasn't Chris's fault. It's just, I slid, and, I just kind of landed very wrong, and then I got knocked out, and I broke my neck and all that, so, And it was also one of the things that, in the office, it was said that I was trying to fake it, and God almighty, how do you fake a broken neck?
Yeah. It's messed up.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever,
You brought up Mike Awesome. I think that was one of the best parts of the One Night Stand was because Mike Awesome kind of had like some really bad gimmicks in WCW and was really used poorly, I thought, in WWE. And then I thought
I'm telling you, that guy, if I had a wrestling company and someone said, well, do you have, a roster or whatever, Mike would be, really one of the guys. You had to train him how to talk and act and blah, 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 and the facials. Because the thing with Mike was, because, I knew Mike well, only because I knew him a little bit from Japan and, more from ECW, and we talked a lot. And he always told me, he said, the thing with that was like fitness, with Mike and I. So I was always like, hey, Mike, try this and try that and try this diet. And, then, when Atkins diet came, whatever, So, and Mike was always like, man, it's just like, I wish I could, portray more. And I'm like, what stops you? He's like, Jason, I call spots from A to Z, and I have to remember all that so my face shows it. And I said, Mike, it shows it. I told him, And I asked him, do you think, you could, like, maybe not, call? And he said, well, I don't think I can because I was trained that way. in Japan, these guys that, there's a language barrier. But I think it was like a crutch with Mike, because he's like a lot of the guys that are considered to be great workers, and they are great workers, but, there's that crutch. They, it's from A to Z, move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's one thing that I hate, and I can't. I walk away when people start calling matches. I have to walk away because it makes me ill. Like I want to vomit.
Yeah.
You never like, then we're gonna lock up them, headlock that, blah blah blah, then blah blah blah, this that move, That's I don't know, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah. But what I was saying was I thought that was one of the best parts of the One Night Stand pay-per-view was Mike Awesome's match with Tanaka. And, like, I thought after a lot of bad years that, like, showed that, this guy is really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, those two gentlemen, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
Both, both those guys, like I said, I'm sorry I rambled on,
No, it's fine.
About all that, But, yeah, you're right, it was, and, it's something for, Mike, because such a beautiful, beautiful human being, and just horrible loss,
But,
he needed to go where he needed to go, so.
I'd say on the same end, what really that took away from that, though, I don't know if you ever watched the One Night Stand with the commentary, but JBL, like, just rips that match apart, like, making fun of the guys, like, taking these crazy moves and then getting up, and he's like, I don't know why you'd even want to do that. It just kind of made what they're doing just seem like it was fake or something.
Well, I mean, honestly, at that time, I kind of knew what it was going to be. I wasn't stupid to the game, and I went there and, they said, dress nicely, blah, 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 this and that, so.
That's so, yeah, I'll just say that whole dress code is really strange. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah. But, I said, okay, so, it's my, time to go there and say, it's almost like a punch card to say, poo-poo.
Yeah.
I worked for, WWF or whatever the hell at that time. And then, it's going to be like a couple of years later, whatever. It's just a thing, where, they tell you what to do. You want to, and you always hope that there's going to be more work. And you always know there's not going to be any more work, And, after the second pay-per-view, I was supposed to be in Pittsburgh to do the thing with John Cena and Boss Mahoney and what's his name, PJ, to get beat up by John Cena, and nobody told me the night before, so I wasn't prepared, And I get a phone call in the morning. Oh, there's a plane ticket waiting for you over there.
Yeah.
Go to Pittsburgh. I'm like, I can't make it. There's not enough time. So that type of thing. It was all just like, well, do this, do that, and it was not a serious thing. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the new ECW show was like designed to get people to like stop chanting ECW and kind of like ruin the legacy? Because I think an ECW fan, I was just like, it was
yeah, I think it was like some kind of it's obviously an experiment.
Yeah.
And it was you try this and that. Let's try a little bit of. It was almost like and I don't know how X-rated is your show.
It's not at all.
It's almost like some kid jerking off a little bit and waiting for that moment. If you're going to explode, and sometimes there's like, oh gosh, I fucked it up. I think it was just like a jerk off experience, really. Honestly, because it was like it was like a total disrespect and nothing. And then what happened at the end? When Vince came out, I never saw it, I heard it, well, this company never existed, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
It's like, here comes, jacked up Mr. Roper, and that's what I call him, because he looks like Mr. Roper.
Uh-huh.
He's got that ugly face and whatever.
Three-stepping it, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, I mean, come on, people. It's, we all know what it's all about,
Just that idea, too, that ECW is like, that they go out of their way to tell you that it's part of WWE, it's like, so against what ECW, is like the anti-authority else, and to just say it's owned by WWE, it just, right there kind of takes everything away from, like, what ECW is about. Even if it is, pretend it isn't,
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, the first, and then, I think I wanted to, I think actually that kind of links, are we still on the air and all that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think, that kind of links, first of all, I have to apologize because, when you guys called me, I was sleeping.
Oh, really?
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm awake now, know. But, it goes to what I said before. Remember, when the zombie thing came, right?
Yep.
I was booked on that first TV show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I came to it, and I saw that guy, the zombie, and I don't blame him because he did what he had to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I saw that, I took my money from Sergeant Slaughter, and I got in my car and drove away. But as I went, and Paul Heyman was like, "You're gonna leave now?" I'm like, "Yeah," So that might be why I was never really welcome back over there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, or whatever. I don't care if it was or if it wasn't. I don't give a fuck, really,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a bad seat. It was a horrible seat. Come on, It was like, it was not even, it was like somebody took a shit and then, let a tree grow out of this piece of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was like Vince's, he squatted in his suit, pulled down his pants, and, with his, the way he likes to wear his sneakers, and then just took a shit in the hall, and then covered himself, let a tree grow. Fuck, there's no tree, Yeah, that's what I think about that. ECW, God almighty. I mean, we were a legacy back in,
Oh, yeah.
We were, and
people were still chanting ECW. That's why, that's why I thought they were bringing it back. And
and especially people like, and, they forget people like, Tony Stetson, Hot Body, and, Donnie Allen, and, J.P. Smith, all those guys, man, they were like, way back then, they were putting their asses online, buddy,
Mm-hmm.
I love those guys, they're my boys.
Mm-hmm. See here, we got, Gene the Drunk is on the line.
Not too drunk tonight.
All right.
Jackie Hill.
Back on the leg. All right.
Hey, Gene, I'm going to try to be.
Well,
that's how Jason can get through talking with us. He's got to get through.
Well, I tried to go for a tryout at your old wrestling school in Waterbury, but got drunk and never made it. Just wondering if that school's still around in Waterbury, Connecticut.
No, it's been a while, we tried, it was a good time, but, I know, I love Waterbury, Connecticut, man, you guys rule over there, but, it was like tax problem, taxes in Waterbury, you know what I'm talking about, right or wrong?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to because you guys rule over there, I mean, you guys are like the best people in Waterbury, Connecticut, I mean, everybody says, Waterbury, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's where Justin Grubb was from, right?
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. No, you guys rule, but, it's like, the tax system, it just wasn't, it wasn't feasible, And I had to, just
fact that I'm saying in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But my question is, what is the wrestling business missing? I mean, we look at TNA wrestling, we look at WWE. The characters aren't larger than life anymore. The psychology isn't really there like it used to be. What's wrestling missing today?
Did you ask me a question?
Yes.
No, honestly, I'm not trying to be a wise ass, but you answer your own question, right? Because honestly, I don't know. What do you ask me? It's like, oh my gosh, what are these color types? What is that move? What is this? What is that? It's very, very, tough to, like I said, I'm not trying to be a smart ass to you or anything like that, but really, you answered your own question. It's like, God, why are we here? It's, really, it's like, what the fuck, I don't know, all the guys look alike. They all have the same moves. They're all the same size. They're all on the same fucking steroids. They're all, I mean, what the fuck, I mean, what is it? It's like, I'm asking you the question, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's very few people, if any, that really capture you like people captured you back, when I watched it in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, it used to be back in the day, my gosh. You'd have a guy that, but these guys were like really, they were a tough guy or whatever, you have a Joe LeDuc or fucking that Leroy Brown or, Ricky Steamboat.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them, you go, oh my gosh, look at that body, look at that work. Now, everybody wants to be like, but they do it without rhyme or reason,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like,
Even the lower end guy, like I was saying earlier, I mean, the Duke of Dorchester, I always remember that. That was like 30 years ago. And Bob Cook, I remember him. George, I remember all those guys. And they weren't even, guys that got like TV time or, any promo time or anything.
Yeah, but, those guys looked like wrestlers. They acted like wrestlers, I mean, they would do a job. They would stay down. They would, do, there was like there was a code, back then, as far as, professional wrestling. There was like a code, We all did our thing. We all did our, I mean, me later than, like, the Duke Dorchester, like in the 80s, but still, God almighty, I knew back then that, if Johnny Rodz, gives me a pile driver, that's it. I mean, Johnny Rodz gave me a pile driver, and boom, 1, 2, 3, and, I'm not moving. There's no here or there, left or right or whatever, I mean, there was no, back in the day, it was like, we all had the code. You have the trunks, the tights, or whatever. You can have a certain color or whatever. But, now, it's like, now I'm going to have blue on black, black on blue, black on blue, blue on black, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it's stupid, And the guys, they can't work. They can't work anymore. They can't work. They're spot monkeys, And it's a shame because these kids, they have so much athleticism. If they could work, my God, they could be such great wrestlers, But they're spot monkeys. That's all they are, And they can't wrestle, and they're not tough. If they try to fuck with me, good luck, good fucking luck. Let's go. I mean, I'm not even fucking around right now,
You say about the guys not being able to work. Do you think, actually, DDP said something about this, was, because in WWE, they want the youth movement, they want everybody young, and when you have that, like the oldest guys are still pretty young guys, and if it's all younger guys work with younger guys, they don't learn, how to, the psychology or different things to do and how to improve. Yeah. You think that's a reason? I mean, I don't know.
I think it's, I think it's obvious. I think it's like, when you have that conveyor belt, You need to make it, remember Lucy?
Yeah.
She started doing stuff in her mouth. That's great.
Vitamina Vegemin.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's, it's just like, I think it's all, it's all an excuse because, honestly, it is not that, John Cena is such a bad wrestler, which he is. It's horrible, but it's not that he has to be, or this one, or that one, or that one, or whatever. It's just that, John Cena sells so much merchandise, so it doesn't matter, and, I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, if I had an independent company, right, that if I invested $100,000, not, $100 million, like, let's say, $100,000, right, and I get a guy, like, this one or that one, I want to, I don't want to mention names because I don't want to, I don't want some people to say, oh, you should have mentioned me or this one or that one, right? And if I make $1 million out of a $100,000 company, in a, a good amount of time, what am I going to do? Really, I mean, come on. What are you going to do? Are you going to, okay, if you scratch that ticket, right, $1, and you win $1,000, are you going to give it back? Come on. You know what I mean? So, to me, but then at the same time, it is what do you do after that? You have that, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this guy, with that guy, and, I think realism in wrestling is really far gone. It's just everybody, you see they slap their foot, they slap, boom, down, this, that, wrestling is, it's professional wrestling has become this. It's either too stiff or too fake. There's no gray in between. And, if you can challenge me on that, well, then, you're better than I am. But, it's either too stiff or too fake. You know what I mean? It's like they're either, it's like, boom, oh, my God, this too, or it looks too fake. No one, no one can, like, it's like, they can't throw a punch, and it's like, oh, my gosh. Wow, was that for real? Was that like,
That's always a big part of me as a guy who can't, like, they'll do all these flips and they'll just throw like the worst punch I've ever seen, and it's just, it really takes you out of it. And I always remember guys like Terry Funk threw like the greatest punch I ever saw in wrestling, and C.W. Anderson threw a pretty awesome punch too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's one of the guys that I'd love to work with. I never have, but I trained with him, but I'd love to. And I'm begging those assholes over there, and what is supposed to be that extreme reunion.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Are you a part of that at all?
Yeah, I would love to be. I want him to start because they were like, yeah, you are, and then I'd love to, come on, let me fucking work with C.W. Anderson, a guy like that. You bunch of fucking,
I know some people there. I'll put your name in.
Yeah, and I love those guys, those fucking douchebags. Fucking, let me work with a guy like that, like C.W. Anderson. And, I would love to work with a guy like C.W. Anderson because, here's the guy, can you imagine, what a nice storyline it could be, because, I'm an old fucker, but I still look like I'm fucking 30 years old, right? So, I mean, to work with a guy like that, who's supposed to be like a blue-collar type of a guy, and to have a wrestling match, get the fuck out of here. That's money right there. But,
But what do you think about that? There's always these ECW reunions, and by WWE or TNA or the wrestlers themselves. Well, what do you make of all those? What is it about ECW that the fans just want to keep seeing?
Well, you know, I think it's a great thing, you know, for the boys, you know, that and a lot of the guys, you know, it seems, you know what, it seems more of the guys that were there, like toward the end, you know, like Lupus or this one, or even like, you know, CW and everything. I'm not saying, you know, that he shouldn't. He should, because he's awesome. I love that guy, you know. But, you know, I'm just saying, you know, it's not even the guys that are, you know, from way back, you know, like Donnie Allen, you know, I will always mention Donnie Allen, you know, and J.T. Smith and guys like that, and Wolfman, you know, there was ECW before ECW. But, you know, okay, whatever, you know. I mean, it's a good thing, you know, it gets these guys to go out there, you know, and, you know, Chastity and this one and that one, and, you know, and I don't know if you guys remember Angel.
Yeah, the Sandman's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? No, Angel. No, she wasn't.
Oh, from the Baldies?
Yeah. Angel. Angel. And also, you know, she's a girl from South Philly. And, you know, there was Angel and Tigra way back then, you know, when Todd Gordon, you know, these girls were really, you know, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, they were tough girls. And, you know, Angel cut herself, you know, her forehead. And she was in an angle with Sherry Martel and Medusa and whatever. She, you know, cut her forehead. I mean, she bled like, you know, all the way to the locker room. You know, I mean, that was like, you know, that was like ECW back in the day. I'm talking about like 93. You know?
Yeah, it's probably before I was watching.
Yeah, you know, like when Tommy Cairo and those guys.
I remember Tommy Cairo, yeah.
Yeah, you know, good guys. Tommy Cairo, Johnny Allen, Wolfman, all those guys. I mean, you know, and, you know, when Don Morocco used to, you know, hang out over there, all those guys, you know. I mean, ECW wasn't just ECW from, like, you know, 1998 on, you know. I mean, you know, there were a lot of very good people. Sal Bellomo.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember him,
back in the day. I mean, really, really good people, you know.
Damien Kane.
Pardon?
Damien Kane.
Yeah, Damien Kane. All of that, man. You know, all those, yeah. They were, you know, wonderful, beautiful people, you know. You know, remember those other guys, D.C. Drake and, you know, Winters, Larry Winters, and all those guys, you know. You know, so, yeah.
Did you get to see any of the Extreme Reunion or Extreme Rising shows?
No, you know, I kind of wanted to, like them on the, I wanted to, click like on the thing.
On the Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'd like to be on there, and, you know, I asked to be on that show, the first, second, third, or whatever, you know. They got this one, that one, whatever, blah, 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 whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to ask, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say whom I contacted, but, you know, some of the top guys are, oh, yeah, definitely, you know. So it didn't happen, so I'm pretty pissed off.
Right.
But whatever, you know. Yeah, I mean, you know, I click it in my mind, in my heart, yes. You know, but I'm not going to, you know, click it in my, because I think that, you know, it's not cool, because I think that I could do a lot, you know. You know, case in point, when, what's her name? Jasmine St. Clair.
Yeah.
What I mean, 3PW, you know. I produced, whatever, you know. I had great matches. Now, the thing is that, you know, Jasmine was not happy about me having a girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. You know, she wants to fuck me, I don't want to fuck her, blah, you know. It doesn't matter, you know. But the thing is, you know, that I came there, you know, looking like $1 million, you know? And, you know, I mean, I can go out there and wrestle. And, you know, it's not about, you know, oh, Jason, oh, the guy who managed. Fuck to manage, Jason guy. And, you know, because, you know, when I was managing in ECW, I would wrestle most of those guys over there, you know. Mm-hmm. And they knew it. But, you know, the thing was that, you know, it was like, and I was in better shape than, you know, most of those guys were.
Did you have anything else, Gene?
Yeah, whatever happened to Bunkhouse Buck?
I don't think he was there. Well, just recently he was on SmackDown as someone's father, I believe.
Oh. Jack Swagger.
Oh.
Jack Swagger's dead, yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah. One more thing before I go. Kevin Nash got a lot of heat for saying that the guys aren't believable anymore, that they're just average size guys. Do you think that's true?
Kevin Nash said what?
He said big problem. He actually said I think he said the downfall of wrestling was when Benoit and Eddie Guerrero had the titles. But he said that a big is that most of the guys are average sized wrestlers.
You know what? I mean, you know, that guy really needs to. Gosh, you know what? I never met him. I remember, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think about Kevin Nash.
Mm-hmm.
This is only my opinion, all right? Am I online still?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, all I want to say is this, you know. I mean, here is a specimen, you know, that should never, ever talk ill about anyone else, but, you know, he does. He doesn't like working with small guys, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't like this or he does. You know, that guy, you know, I mean, he's a horrible wrestler. Excellent looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible wrestler, you know. I mean, he's got 2 left feet, you know, and all that. I mean, where the fuck does he get off of saying anything? He knows nothing about professional wrestling. Let me tell you something, you know. A guy like me, and I'm not even going to say me, because I don't want to challenge this idiot, you know. But a guy like me could wrap him up in like 16 seconds, make him cry like a fucking bitch, shit all over himself. I mean, I'm not kidding about man, you know. We're talking about professional wrestler, you know. I mean, where the fuck does he think, you know? And you know, my buddies Manny Fernandez and Ricky
Morton?
Ricky Morton, you know? Yeah. They're right. He's an asshole. He fucking deserves to be beat up, but nobody wants to because blah, blah, blah. But, you know, motherfucker, you got 2 left feet. You're wonderful looking. You're a great looking guy, but you got 2 left feet. You got 9. You know, who the fuck are you to say what wrestling is? You don't know what wrestling is. He doesn't know what wrestling. He knows what wrestling is. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know, that guy couldn't do a fucking wrestling move. You know, if it did him on his fucking flat ass. You know, honestly, you know. I mean, this guy, you know, he just bullied his way, you know, all through, and, you know, fuck him, and fuck, you know, that fucking Scott Hall, you know, who's a fucking scumbag as well, you know. And, what's his name, you know, and PJ just follows him, you know. I mean, you know, it's a shame. You know, fuck all these fucking guys, you know. I mean, these guys, you know, that, you know, they think, you know, they're, you know, what the fuck does that idiot, you know, that fucking Frankenstein talk idiot know about wrestling? What the fuck does he know? He's got 2 fucking left feet. You know, what does he know about fucking wrestling? Well, about putting on a wrestling move. I'll put on a fucking wrestling move. He's going to fucking cry. He's going to think he's got a fucking, you know, oh my God, you know, I don't even want to fuck, you know, I'm so pissed off right now. I will take that fucking guy, you know, fuck the ring, in the street, in anywhere, you know, and I will show some moves, you know, and let him, you know, do his fucking boo, you know, whatever. He thinks he, ooh, these or whatever. I will wrap that motherfucker up so fast that he will look at me like, please, sir, stop, you know. That motherfucker, you know, I mean, you know, I'm not fucking kidding around over here, you know. I mean, I'm like, you know, I'm putting a big Slater over here, all right? Shit. I'm pulling a fucking killer Cox over here. You know, that motherfucker's got nothing, you know. And here's a guy that's got so much fucking talent, and if he was quiet and all that, and he, you know, he's got nothing to say about wrestling, but thank you. Thank you. I'm just a big fucking lug with no fucking talent that, you know, I made a lot of money out of professional wrestling.
Yep.
Shit. You know, that motherfucker, man, let me tell you something, you know. I'm like fucking, you know, I'm like, you know, that other half of Rock and Roll Express. You know, he wants to fuck with me. Let me tell you something, you know, let me tell you, baby, you know, you're going to have your nuts blown off. I mean, with my fist, you know, it's, you know, and it's not because I don't respect these guys. I do. It's because I respect these fucking guys. How dare you? You piece of shit. You're nothing, motherfucker. You know, well, you're 6'9". You think you're gonna rule the world. You don't rule nothing. You don't fucking do nothing, man. You know? Shit. You know, I was there when what's his name? You know, when they beat up Vader.
Right.
It was not one, you know, it's not one guy beat up Vader. Two guys beat up Vader. You know that, right?
Was that the Paul Orndorff story, or?
Paul Orndorff and what's his name? Tony Atlas. Fucking put him to his knees. Get the fuck out of here. You know? You think it was Tony Atlas put him to his knees. He said, "Don't ever fuck with me again." Because Vader told him, you know, you got the big arms, you know, no legs. I'm like, really? He's like, put him to his knees. Get the fuck out of here.
So Tony Atlas beat up Vader, you saying? Or?
He didn't beat him up. He put him to his knees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he put him to his knees. Tony Atlas said, "Don't ever fuck with me again and tell me that I don't have the legs as strength." You know, and he put him to his knees. Like, you think you're gonna, you know, get the fuck out of here, you know, whatever. You know, I mean, you know, people really need to, know what they're talking about. And all that.
Well, when you're talking earlier, you're saying, fuck Nash, fuck all, and then you mentioned PJ. Did you get along with Just Incredible when you were working with him?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it was all about business.
Yeah, but I mean, like, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, you know, hello, how are you, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, yeah, you know, PJ, you know, he always, what am I going to tell you, you know? You want the truth? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, he made a lot more money than I did. And, you know, he used to get with Paul, and it was like, well, you know, I don't want to take this shot, that shot. I don't want to blade, whatever. Jason will. So, you know, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. And
did he appreciate you for doing that?
No.
Would that have been different? Like, if, you know, he's like, well, thanks, man, for doing that, blah, blah, blah.
No. You know, I mean, it was him and his wife, obviously, and it was Lance, and that was it. You know, and that was it. And you know, I was the guy that was taking the, you know, I'll tell you the blade, the chair shot, this and that. You know, no, you know. Did he appreciate me? No. You know, were we friends? No. You know, I mean, later on, you know, when I got my gym, you know, my professional wrestling gym and, you know, school, then he contacted me and was like, hey, man, you know, hey, it's BJ. Hey, brother, blah, 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 whatever, you know, but no, you know, I was never, you know, I was just the guy that took the chair shots, the blades, the this and that, and, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's how it is. You know, some people have to, you know, have to do that, you know. I mean, you know, I never cried about that. But, you know, now I'm telling you about it. You know, it doesn't matter. So, you know, it's not a big deal, you know. People do this and people do that, you know. He was, like, supposed to be this great fucking wrestler or whatever. Okay. That he was, I'm not saying. And Lance was supposed to be a great wrestler. And, all right, if you say so, you know, I mean, Lance is a great spot boy, and a great wrestler and all that, but, gosh, you know, they don't know what the wrestling is all about.
Well, what was Lance like? Did he like you being with the team or anything? Or?
No. And I don't like being with the team either.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we didn't like each other, you know, I mean, we got along with each other, and, I mean, Lance, you know, but I'm going to tell you one thing about Lance. He's very, very disciplined, you know, and I respect Lance a lot. Very, very disciplined. You know, he doesn't, you know, waver from anything that he does. And, you know, Lance is Lance. He's wrestling, and, you know, we had a lot of things common, like as far as fitness, you know, because I'm like, you know, Mr. Fitness, but I like partying too, you know. Lance couldn't do fitness by partying as well, you know what I mean? So I guess I won up on him, but, you know, it doesn't matter, you know. I mean, you know, that guy is totally fitness and dedicated and all that. And, you know, he was all about himself. You know, and, you know, that's one thing that I never was, you know. I mean, I did the whole thing, you know, I like to have that thing, you know, where we work hard. I always work hard, no matter what. I mean, if anybody says I didn't get it, they can go fuck themselves. I worked harder than anybody else, but I partied too. I partied hard, you know. But Lance, you know, I mean, he was one of those guys that really, really, you know, he didn't, and you know, he never said a word to me about my partying and all that. And sometimes, you know, I could be obnoxious, you know, in the team and all that, but whatever, fuck them all, you know. Well, they're going to kick my ass and try.
You know, everyone always talks about the big party scene in ECW. We had a lot of ECW guests on the show. Is all the stories true that pretty much everyone in the back were big partiers in ECW, the locker room? No.
You know, I don't think so. I mean, I know I was, you know. Yeah, I was definitely, you know, and because, you know, that's my, you know, personality, it's my nature. You know, I like it. I still am. I'm, you know, I'm hanging out with you guys right now. I'm drinking friggin' vodka and, you know, with some ice. Ooh, ice is bad. You know, it might get me cold. No, you know, yeah, you know, a little bit of, you know, vodka and some diet soda, you know, because, yeah, you know, I mean, I've not changed, but yeah, you know, there were some guys and girls, you know, that, you know, partied, but no, I don't think so, you know, but, you know, that's not true, you know, it's, the thing is, you know, Paul Heyman, he did not run a locker room like a Nazi, you know, he ran a locker room like, you know, it's okay, if you can do it, and if you can perform, and then come back tomorrow, and do TV and interviews, then you were fine. I mean, I don't blame him, for, the way that he ran the locker room, I mean, as much of a, son of a bitch as he was and all that, but, that's one thing. He said, Jason, he always knew me, because he knew me from way back. And, I'm not going to lie to you, I was one of the biggest drinkers in the friggin' locker room,
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you hear, people called me an alcoholic and a drug addict. It's not true. And I'm like, doing the, no.
The Balls Mahoney line, for anybody.
Well, whatever, No, I mean, as far as, drinking, I love to drink. I'm a fucking European, Serbian son of a bitch. I love to drink, but, I know when to say when. Now, as far as, drugs, I've done my share, a little bit of pain pills, blah, 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 this and that. But, there were a lot of, people that really were heavy, into it, several.
Mm-hmm.
And not more than, not anything, not a quarter more than, what it is in WWE right now, I'm sure all those guys,
mm-hmm.
that they lie and they say this is no bullying, blah, 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 this and that, stop drugs, and, not at all. We were a small company, we had fewer guys, and some of us, we used to love to,
mm-hmm.
take a few pills and smoke a few joints and, drink a few beers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think at all that, we should be,
I think that for me personally, I think it kind of goes for anything in life, any kind of job you do. If you're, it's not performing it's not affecting your performance at your work, whatever. I don't think it really matters what you do in your personal time.
Yeah. Well, yes and no.
Well, do a limit.
I mean, as long as I can understand, as long as you don't screw up, because I'm going to tell you, we're still on the air.
Yep. We'll let you know.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a time when I got really pissed off at ECW, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would show up really late, and I would do my thing, diet and train, but I would show up and I would show up late and fucked up and they would all be drunk and all that,
Mm-hmm.
And because I was pissed off at Paul and his ways, and some of his checks, being late, and some of his promises not being,
Bill.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, showing up, and that's probably a little bit why that, one of the reasons why he said, he's fired because blah, 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 but, so.
Now, were you ever a guy that would buy into Paul Heyman's, motivational speeches and whatnot, or did you always feel like you kind of saw through that?
No, gosh, I knew he meant it,
Mm-hmm.
And, of course he meant it.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't, people said that, his speeches were, definitely motivational. But, you have to take that, all that with a grain of salt. Just like I did, and, Candido, Rex Soul did, and, Shane, and, all those guys. It's like, that it's real. We knew it was there. It was not a joke. It was not fake. But it was Paul delivering it,
Mm-hmm.
So, come on, if it was Jerry Lawler delivering it, what would you do? Same thing or not? Come on,
Yeah.
Be realistic. you know, or Bill Dundee or Jim Ross or, you know, God willing that it was Eddie Graham, you know, that I was, you know, at that time, because that was the best guy, you know, ever, you know, but whatever.
Did you work for him?
I wish I did. No, man.
Yeah.
You know, no, I wish I. No, I was too young to work.
Yeah, I thought you would be, but yeah.
I tried. You know, I did try, but I was like, you know, denied.
Mm.
You know, I wanted to work for him and train with a hero, and you know, I trained with Hero a little bit. You know, before he died, and it was like on my own dime. You know, I was like, I just wanted to, you know, because Hero was God Almighty, you know, and I wish I did work with Eddie, and I think that, you know, with my attitude and all that at the time, they could have at least used me as a jobber, you know. I would have loved to just use, you know, I would have been at least a good jobber over there, you know, for Florida Championship Wrestling for Eddie Graham. But, you know, I never did, and, you know, whatever, you know, I couldn't, and then, you know, at least, you know, I did something for NWA, WCW, and whatever, you know. And, you know, got me to meet Paul, you know, what, you know.
Jay here in the chat room, he said recently brought up something about Luger being a jerk to you. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, you know, I kind of feel bad. I feel good. But, you know, it's like, you know, when you were, you know, of that caliber, you know, and you're making that type, you know, I'll never forget, you know, and I brought a friend of mine, a kid that was breaking into wrestling, you know. I'm like, yeah, come over here, you know, and I think it was like in Baltimore. I think it was in Baltimore, or it was like when WCW it was in Manhattan. It doesn't matter, you know. And I went to, you know, I said, hey, Lex, you know, I went to shake his hand and looked at it, and he was just kind of like, it was horrible the way he just like, well, you know. And I'm like, whatever, you know. And he walked away, and I was like, And, you know, I was, my friends were there, Johnny and Teddy, you know, Johnny Grunge, the late Johnny Grunge, and Teddy, my buddies, you know, and, what's his name was there, Finley and all those guys, they were like, don't worry. I'm like, I'm not worried, you know, but I felt, you know, horrible, like, why would somebody do that, you know, because, and it's like, you know, I did like 2 jobs for you, you know, why would you treat me like that? And I did good jobs, you know, it's not like, you know, whatever.
Do you have any stories involving Public Enemy, like you guys traveling together or anything?
Oh, gosh, yeah. You know, Teddy, Locker Rock. He was always a very together person, you know. And, you know, Johnny Grunge, my gosh, you know, he was always like, you know, a little bit of a troublemaker, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I remember, you know, he almost got in trouble. He hit a taxi driver in Japan, in Tokyo. And I'm like, get over here, you know, because, you know, it was pretty much like, you know, the police were looking for him.
Yeah.
And I got him, you know, to my hotel, and then I, you know, to my room, then into his room, then he got out, and then he hit it someone else. And then, you know, he's like, you know, motherfuckers, y'all gooks, blah, 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 you know. And, yeah, that was, Public Enemy. But, you know, Teddy was old school. He was old, jeez, you know, because he was a, you know, real tough guy, you know, he was like legit. a great boxer and all that, you know, because Chetti and I used to hang out. We used to do boxing together.
Yeah.
You know, I like boxing for, you know, for fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the bag and all that. And Chetti was like one of my, you know, guys, because I like boxing, martial arts. You know, well, whatever. You know, that's another story.
Did you know him for a long time? Because he had wrestled for a long time before he had the Rocker.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew him for a long time. Like I said, you know, I knew him as long as I know Johnny Rodz and Bobby Golden Eagle, and I know him, you know, from actually, you know, martial arts, because you know, secret, blah blah blah. You know, I've done martial arts for a long time. You know, and that's how I know Chetti. And you know, we both, you know, used to kick the bag, and you know, I'm, you know, pretty good at boxing and all that. So,
yeah. Were you happy for him as, you know, like, friend of his, seeing him, because that really took off Public Enemy in ECW. Like, the guy's been around for a long time, finally getting, like, a big break.
Yeah. Well, you know, who were the first, you know, remember the first show for ECW?
Like when it became, with Public Enemy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the send-off show, too, and everyone's running in the ring.
No.
Awesome.
No. You know, what's the first show? Come on.
I'm not sure. You have to tell me.
Ultra Clash.
Okay, Ultra Clash, yep.
Yeah. Who was there? Public Enemy and who?
Was it you?
Yeah, me and who?
And was it Ian Rotten?
Ian Rotten, yeah, exactly.
All right, I remember that. I have all the VHS tapes. That's going to convert over to DVD. That's the thing that WWE's really destroyed the old footage of ECW, because they edited out all the music, and I know it's copyright and everything, but it really takes a lot away from the old footage. Yeah, I remember you mentioned earlier how on one of the DVDs they make it seem like you weren't part of this match, and they said it was they do that they kind of rewrite history in a lot of their footage, even like the WrestleMania stuff.
Yeah, that kind of well, you know, fuck WrestleMania, but you know what I mean.
I'm just saying it's the ECW stuff, everything.
Yeah. Well, you know, that kind of hurt me because you know, Gabe, out of all people, you know, come on, Gabe. He's like, oh, it was you know, the Bad Breed. I was never part of Bad Breed, you know. It was Jason Knight and, you know, Ian Rotten, and we did a job, a simple job for, you know, the Public Enemy, you know, because that's what, you know, Paul said, you know, I want you to do just a job, and I said, and, you know, I told Paul, I said, Paul, you know, I had a back surgery like 3 months ago. I'm not supposed to do this. And he's like, just do a job. You know, so if you see me, you know, I never take a back bump. You know what I mean? He's like, you know, someone hits me and I take a front bump, you know. And it was that type of thing, but, you know, oh, whatever, you know.
Were you actually still with ECW when it went out of business? Were you still part of the company at that time, or you left before?
Yeah, with a contract, yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I received a few checks and all that, but, you know, not many.
Yeah.
Not as many. But, yeah, you know, I was, like, fired, but, you know, not fired. It was so weird, you know. I mean, gosh. You know, I received checks from, you know, Tommy Dreamer, actually, some of these personal checks, you know, because I think he felt so bad, you know, for me being...
The Dreamer has a new company, too, the House of Hardcore. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I'd love to be, you know.
He's got a pretty loaded card coming up.
Yeah.
For their first show.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I'd like to be a part of it. I mean, you know, I'm just also here to tell everyone that, I mean, I'm fucking ready, and I'm like bigger than I ever was. I'm like 240, 245, and I mean lean with like a 32-inch waist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm a badass son of a bitch, but, you know, whatever. You know?
So,
if they want to, they will, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know. Yeah, I'm not going to sell myself like a whore.
Right.
You know. I'm very happy that you guys, you know, asked me, you know.
Yeah, I was happy to get you on here.
Yeah, you know, you can ask me whatever, you know.
I wanted to ask you, actually, when ECW did go out of business and then Paul Heyman showed up on Raw, like, I don't know if it was a week, it was pretty close anyway. Like, I know a lot of the guys were really upset about that. Like, what was going through your mind?
You know, it was one of those things, you know, that, you know, it's kind of like now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we always knew that, you know, Paul has, he has his hand in the business, and, you know, he's not gonna get out. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, it's Paul Heyman. That is who he is. That's what he does. Every few years he'll, you know, show in, and kind of like now, you know. And I like, you know, I mean, is he still in WWE, that type of thing, with that Brock Lesnar guy?
Yeah, he's there as like his on-air manager or whatever they call it, but basically his mouthpiece.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what he does. You know, that's what he does every now and then. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, Paul is, you know, it's Paul. He's for himself, and, you know. I mean, he'll fuck people along, you know, alongside, and, you know, and then, you know, he'll pick up, you know, a few people, you know, this one, that one, you know, and I think, you know, anyone that, you know, whatever. So like the whole ECW, you know, people, you know, the guys are like, oh, blah, 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 or this and that, you know, they're all like, you know, whoever was with Paul, they knew what they were doing, you know, and it's okay, you know, right now, you know.
Do you think Todd Gordon gets enough credit for ECW, or do you think he gets too much credit? What do you think about Todd Gordon?
Todd Gordon, you know, to me, he was like the most unselfish guy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Todd, you know, so much. And I don't know, you know, I never got into their business so much. You know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
I got in as a talent, and, you know, I was happy, you know, quite frankly, you know, to fuck the girls, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie to you, you know, and, you know, make some dollars and all that, but, you know, I never really, when it came, you know, I always liked Todd. You know, I think that Todd, you know, Todd did what he did, you know, and, you know, he, to me, will always be as one of the most unselfish guys in business, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, he could have been a real scumbag. He never was. You know, he could have been a little Jew bastard. He never was.
Uh-huh.
You know? Yeah, I mean, really, you know, I mean, if we talk about it, he was always a good guy, and I don't know, you know, Todd is, I consider Todd a friend.
Mm-hmm. Now, we had Perry Saturn on last week, and he told us the Rhino story with, I don't know if you were familiar with that. It was like a dildo attached to like a headgear, and they would use it on. It was a very interesting rat story. I just wondered if you had any, and maybe it doesn't involve you, but any interesting stories with the female fans.
You know, honestly, I can give you 1,000 stories about that. You know? But you know, I'm not gonna, like that type of a thing. You know, whatever. You know,
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you know, gosh, you know,
we'll say it was a wild time.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's like, you know, far as, first of all, I call them rats. They're girls, and, and whatever, and I think, more of them enjoyed my cock than, I enjoyed their pussy. So, what the fuck? And whatever.
Yeah. Were you there when, I think it was PJ brought in Scott Hall? And I guess there was like a big blow up with Scott Hall and Shane Douglas and some of the guys.
Yeah, that was in, Florida. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Francine even, stood up to him and whatever. Yeah. I think that Shane had every bit of right to say what he did to Scott Hall, but everybody else, like Francine and all that, should have shut the fuck up and just walk away,
Yeah.
That's what I think,
There's actually history with Shane and Scott.
Yeah, Shane had, I don't like Scott Hall. And I think he's a fucking scumbag, but whatever, a talented scumbag. But, Shane had, definitely legit, the hell yes to do what he did, but Francine, she's just, kind of stood in between, I think, because, who's going to hit me, blah, 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 and, she gets hit, who cares? She doesn't care, She went through, through worse,
Mm-hmm. But do you have a personal story with Scott Hall? Why you think he's a scumbag, or just things you've seen about him? Or?
Yeah, he's a scumbag. Here's a guy that's got so much talent. First of all, he likes to abuse job boys. Chop them and all that. And, there's no reason to do that. And then, there was a thing in Connecticut. We had, the whole thing, I saw him there, and, it's just, it's like, I saw Scott Hall, and, I go, hey, man, and I pat him on the shoulders, like, don't fucking stop calling me, blah, 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 blah. He's, I don't like him, I would really like to, shoot him in the face, whatever,
Mm. I don't know. He claims he actually did shoot someone in the face. I don't know if you saw his ESPN special.
I know he did, yeah. I know he did, and I don't blame him that he did, but still, it doesn't matter, he's still a scumbag to me.
Mm-hmm. Was there anybody else throughout your career that you would say really treated you bad, or?
Treated me bad?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Well, we can go on, but there's just whatever. There's a lot of people I liked and, that I stopped, liking and, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like people who think that they're, better than them, like, that fucking guy Raven,
Mm-hmm.
Scotty is, one of the best, but, he just, likes to, show his ass too much. Him and Sandman and, all those guys, I don't like, these guys. And they're, they're good, but they're not the best,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And a lot of these guys, they say, they're tough. They're not that tough.
Who would you say is the toughest guy that you've seen in wrestling? Like, legit.
Probably Haku.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Yeah, probably him, and probably him and Dickie Slater.
Mm-hmm.
I know, that one of the people that I would never want to fight. I mean, I would fight anybody, but not Jack, New Jack.
Yeah.
Because he's just he's an insane criminal.
Yeah.
If it needs to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm
not saying in a bad way, but it's not because he's big or strong or whatever. He's just, mentally. But Haku definitely, Dickie Slater.
I always heard Tracy Smothers was.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
But Tracy, he's such a wonderful human being, And actually, are you going to talk to Tracy pretty soon?
We've never had him on the show, but I actually would really like to get him on. Yeah.
Because, if you do, ask him who taught him how to karate sidekick.
All right.
Yeah.
Was that you, or we'll have to wait and find out?
Yeah, that's me.
All right.
Yeah, because I own black belt.
You don't like what?
No, because I own black belt.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. I'm in a black belt and judo and karate and all that shit. I do that.
Being like you said you were in the military and being a black belt and all that stuff. Did you ever have a problem playing the Jason character, or didn't it bother you?
Did I ever what?
Did you ever have a problem playing like the Jason character?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had people.
Mm-hmm. I remember a couple times they would even hint on on the commentary that you were gay or something. Did that ever bother you, or do you just think it's funny? Or
yeah, I mean, to me that was honestly, that was like a cheap shot. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? Right on P.
Go sometime, Jack.
Yeah, that's right. He's drinking the vodka.
Actually, I'm glad you asked me that question.
All right.
Because, I mean, to me, it's like, it was a very cheap shot. Because, first of all, no, I'm not gay. Homosexual, bisexual, whatever. No, I'm heterosexual, and, I enjoy women very, very much. So now, I think that Paul pushed, what's his name? Joey, to, do that thing. Oh, he might be gay, blah, 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 So, and then, it's very easy to, for fans to, get that. No, not at all, I'm not by any chance am I gay or or bisexual or anything. I'm completely heterosexual and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Who wants to buy that, they buy that. Or who wants, they, who they don't want to, they, bring me a girlfriend.
The other thing I want to ask about Saturn was we had him on last week. I mean, was that the first team you managed, the Eliminators?
No. That was actually Mr. Hughes.
Okay. What was he like? Because I've heard a lot of the ECW guys said he wasn't a very, very easy guy to work with during his ECW run.
Him?
Yeah.
I thought it was like the easiest guy to work with.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Curtis, oh my gosh. I mean, that guy was like, in fact, Curtis is like, gosh, if you go on my, my Facebook, there's like a match with him and I when I did a job with, for Curtis, and, he slams me at the end. He said, the nicest fucking guy, very easy. He's like, okay, yeah. He's like a year younger than I am, bastard. he's not the same.
No, he's pretty awesome shape at the moment. Yeah, less than I've seen.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man. You know, that guy's a fucking worker on ass. You know. Mm-hmm. There's Hughes, you know, one of the best fucking wrestlers. You know.
Man, we got a caller here who's calling in like a wind tunnel or something. Do you have a question? Or you just calling to mess up our audio? All right, you're out of here.
Are you gay or are you're gay? Well, that's one thing that, you know, please, people forget that I'm gay, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I want to ask. I just, you know, because I didn't know you were a black belt. Not that it really matters anything, but I just was wondering if it bothered you.
No, being a black belt doesn't bother me.
No. Yeah. But what about the Eliminators? Were they easy to work with?
Yeah, very nice. And, you know, I mean, the only thing is, you know, there were so many spots. Oh, do this, do that, you know. So, you know, I mean, that's how they work, you know, because, you know, that was the team, you know, the team at the time, you know. And I think that, you know, there was some time where they're kind of like failed in WWF, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it didn't work out, so, you know, finally it was, and that was like, Perry Saturn goes, hey, I know you. I said, yeah, I think I know you too. Because Perry Saturn and I, you know, we did jobs for WWF.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's how we, and, you know, Lady Cronus, I guess, you know, we didn't know each other, and, you know, and it just amazed me, you know, how talented both of those men were, you know. They could just, you know, coordinate moves and all that. It's just, you know, I just kind of like to wrestle more, you know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just go there and wrestle, and, you know, these guys could coordinate moves. So it was beautiful. But, yeah, managing them, yeah, you know, I was there. You know, I was... as a manager, you know, I think that I was one of those guys that could actually wrestle and do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not just, you know, just like some wrestler, go there and take a few bumps, but actually wrestling, you know.
Will Bozarth on the Facebook, he wants to know, what was the craziest thing you've ever seen backstage?
Backstage craziest, oh my gosh. I mean, I could go on and on, but, you know, crazy backstage. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think, craziest backstage. I don't know. You know, I think, you know, honestly, you know, I'm going to be, you know, honest with you, you know, right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, that when Tom Dreamer came back from that first lashing from Sandman,
mm-hmm.
and he was actually like pissed off, you know, and that was like, oh my gosh, that's one thing, you know. The second thing was when Terry Funk started throwing shit around when he got burnt. And one of the arena things, you know, he actually got burnt. He was like, you know, Cactus Jack took a chair and then, you know, put a fire to it and, you know, started hitting, you know, with it and whatever, you know. Those were. But I think it was all work. Whatever. I don't care.
With who? With Funk?
With both of them, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Dreamer came back and was crying, you know, started throwing stuff around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, Sandman, you know, have breakfast with Sandman, he like whipped him and all that, whatever, you know, whatever the fuck.
What are you doing currently?
Pardon?
What do you? Are you still working in wrestling currently?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff you got going on? I know you do the 15th in Rhode Island. You've got a seminar.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I do personal training.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, we want to thank you for coming on tonight. It's been a lot of fun. You went the whole 3 hours.
See? Yeah, anytime.
It's a 180-minute man here. That can be your new gimmick. We appreciate it, man. Maybe I'll be back sometime. And good luck and everything in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Where you go. All right.
You're welcome.
Hey, this is Mikey Whipwreck from ECW, and you're listening